Well, this is depressing. It's 5 o'clock on the dot. And it's almost dark outside. I don't know how I'm going to survive this season. Oh my god. What did I say? What did I say? I'm tired already, man. I've had a day where I've really mostly done nothing, and I'm just tired. Like, I don't know, is there something wrong with me? Is the B12 deficiency finally killing me? Oh my gosh. I don't know how I'm gonna survive this winter. I really don't. Anyways, this video is about coping mechanisms and how we're all literally coping with some sort of delusions or drugs. I don't know how atheists do it, to be honest. Yeah, how do sober, what's the word called for somebody who doesn't, like, do any sort of drugs, whether that be drinking, cannabis, or there's a long list of them, but, straight edge. How do straight edge atheists cope? Is it solely just therapy, or, I guess having friends is a way of coping as well. I do have quite a bit of, like, straight edge atheist friends. They're great people, of course, but I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how we all do it without having some sort of delusion about the state of the world. Because plenty of people turn to religion, we already know that. Plenty of people, I've already mentioned, turn to drugs, or they turn to toxic positivity. Of course, a lot of those two can even go together, even though religion and drugs is not really a combination you see too much. But yeah, we're all just coping on this tiny little planet, just trying to make it work. It's really all we can do. But some of us, I guess, delude ourselves so much that we think that having kids is the answer, or continuing this whole cycle of suffering will make us happier or benefit us in the end, which, of course, is not the case. Obviously, people don't really think about things outside of themselves too much. If they're not affected by something, they're likely not going to think about it. I don't know if that's just a fault of society or a fault of the human species in general, as a whole. Like, if it's built into our programming. I mean, obviously not, because I turned out the way I am, and, you know, plenty of people who, like, actually care about morals or making the world a better place, or who actually care about the suffering of other beings. We obviously exist, so I don't think it's a programming thing. You know, it's like, choose your coping of choice. Do you believe in a God? Even though there's no empirical evidence for that, no reason to believe in a God who created us pathetic little beings just to watch us kill each other and kill other animals. Doesn't really make much sense to me, just all in the goals of seeing if you'll be a good candidate for getting into heaven. Shit's so stupid to me, but hey man, people will believe whatever helps them get through life. And my father and my mom, they need it, I guess. Even my mom, who's kind of like questioned her way out of religion, still kind of holds on to like some sort of hope, some sort of belief that this isn't all for nothing, and that there's going to be some sort of satisfaction, some big meaning in the end. And she's more on the spiritual side of things, though she still prayed for me when I was going through a depression because her coworkers thought I was possessed or something for being depressed in a very much so depressing world. But I digress. Religious folk are interesting, especially Christians who are pushing natalism, even though most of them, if not all of them, believe that, you know, this is not their home, and eventually they will soon go to heaven, where that's their actual home, where they actually belong, and we're all born sinners, and to not be sinners, we have to believe in Jesus. But what if my kid ends up not believing in Jesus? Like me, I guess my dad ended up dooming me to hell. Yeah, it's a mess. Drugs aren't even the worst of it, in my opinion. You gotta cope somehow, but like, what's worse, believing in an all-powerful being that is okay with all this bullshit happening, all these babies being born into a world full of sinners, all of these animals dying for sinners to exist, or being addicted to a substance because substances are addicting and we are all here chasing pleasure. What's more human than chasing pleasure? People say, oh, you are hindering a soul's chance of experiencing happiness, because I guess in the non-material world out there, souls are just floating around sad all the fucking time, wanting to come to Earth to experience being a living thing here for some fucking reason. Why here? Aren't there other planets out there? I'd like to think there are plenty of other planets who are doing better than we are here on Earth, because if not, then life really is not fucking worth living. So I don't know, you can look around at the state of the world and see all these wars happening to this day. Everybody's a wage slave, unless you're a rich billionaire who has no problem exploiting the poor people, the wage slaves at the bottom, and paying them pennies comparison to what you're earning. Look into the wealth gap. It's really depressing. And chasing greed, that's how billionaires got to where they are. I need more money. I need to expand until I own a large percentage of the world's wealth. I need to be the richest person on this planet, or close to it anyways, because God forbid I actually try helping people or making the world a better place. You don't really become a billionaire by being an ethical person or a moral person. That's not what happens. But yeah, drugs. I honestly pity drug abusers. Life likely wasn't kind to them for them to get wrapped up in all of that. I mean, I pity everybody here. I even pity the religious folk. Like, literally, my dad can't think for himself. Been indoctrinated for so long. He's essentially an NPC. Can't think outside of what's been taught to him, or what religion has taught him, what his parents have taught him, what the world has taught him, and now he's just a shell of a person, I guess. What are some other coping mechanisms that people turn to here on this planet? Oh yeah, meaning, or at least believing that there's some sort of meaning, which isn't a bad thing. You really need to find a goal or a drive to keep going here, or you're going to end up with the conclusion that you should take your own life. You should aim to have something to look forward to. Maybe not even necessarily a should, but it helps. It really does help. It helps to have friends or a community, or planning things to do, even if they're not lavish or expensive or crazy. You should, I keep saying should. It's not like an obligation or anything, but it helps to have something to look forward to here. And a lot of us don't have that. So we turn to religion, we turn to drugs, we turn to a meaning towards the end of all of this, that it wouldn't be a waste of time, that the suffering was all for nothing, or that, there's some big prize at the end of all of this. Because a lot of people really just can't fathom the fact that we just happen to be a cosmic accident, if you will call it. I don't know, maybe like life was necessarily an accident, but it's not the default, as you can see, at least in our solar system. And eventually it ends. Like, stars are not forever. Our sun is gonna blow up in a couple billion years. If we don't end up blowing ourselves up before that as a species, that'll happen. And we will have to expand, go to some other planet that likely does not support life. Because if it did, then it would have life on it and not just water or gas, or, I guess bacteria counts as life, or small little living particles. Like, life takes on different forms, of course. But was it meant for us? Would we be able to evolve fast enough to live comfortably on said planet for decades and centuries? Anybody who tells you that they're not coping is lying, or they just don't realize it yet. Even I, as an antinatalism, knowing that there isn't much meaning to life, I'm still trying to make it as meaningful as possible by doing my part to make it a better place as much as possible. I'm doing my part with being vegan, of course, and not reproducing, not bringing more people here to experience this misery, to need to cope in the first place, not bringing more people here to kill and exploit those poor animals, whether they're being in factory farms or from a small scale farm, they all die the same way, okay? There's no good reason not to be vegan, and there's no good reason not to be antinatalist. Therefore I am. It really just comes down to taste, pleasure, and how much I enjoy the taste of this flesh and body parts. Or it all comes down to me wanting to influence poor little defenseless children because I am having a hard time socializing with the rest of society. It'll be easier for me to influence a poor child that is 100%edly dependent on me. And I could do whatever I want with that unless it gets out to CPS that I've been neglectful. But even then, a lot of the time, they'll just look the other way. Ramble. But yeah, we're all just coping. And I'm gonna need to find a way to cope for this winter. I like being outside. I like seeing the sun. I like feeling the sun. There's a reason why we get serotonin, I think. One of those happy chemicals that get released when we're in the sunlight because it's vitamin D. Vitamin D is good for us. Of course, you don't want to be out in the sun too long, especially with these UV rays, but I'm gonna miss it. And I might be forced to become a morning person if I want to get anything done during this season. I can't keep waking up at midday when the sun is going down at 5 o'clock. I mean, I guess I can, but it'll leave much of a day for me. What are your favorite ways to cope here? What are your favorite things to do that hopefully don't involve causing unnecessary suffering? I've been up for like 5 hours and I'm already sleepy because my brain is like, it's late, isn't it? It's getting late. It's only 5 something. How am I gonna do this? But yeah, I'm trying to think of like some other obvious ways that there are to cope. But I guess going back to my mom and my family, her and her sister are spiritual, which is just another word for delusional in my opinion. I don't know how you can look at all of the suffering and people struggle in general with just looking outside of themselves and of thinking beyond their happiness. But I don't know how you can see like the really terrible suffering that's going on in the world and be like,
in their next life they'll be reincarnated into something better.
In the future they'll have a prize or it'll all be worth it in the end. One of the most delusional takes in my opinion is that we chose to be here even though we have no recollection of this. Why do we not remember any of this? Why is life set out to be like such a challenge? Why does it have to be such a challenge? Like, why can't I at least have some clues, some hints, like in my past life to help me figure out what I did wrong, in a sense of reincarnation, of course? Why can't I know what I did wrong the last time so I don't make the same mistake again? Why are we always left in the dark to question things, to make sense of everything? Why can't the truth be obvious? We have to do all the work to find out if something is true or not. Like, obviously, take nutrition for an example. We know that vitamins exist, what fruits and veggies have said vitamins, where we can get phytochemicals, yada yada. There's no information regarding that in the spiritual world. It's just, do the work. Or some people recommend taking drugs like DMT to finally see that we're living in a matrix or a prison or something. Why are we in the dark on all of this? Nothing about any of it is obvious, other than the fact that it can't be proven. So maybe I'm gonna stick with it just not being a thing, not being the truth, not being a reality, at least in this universe, on our planet. People will call you small or closed-minded for that. Like, cope. I know you have to cope. I don't want people to be suicidal. It's not a great feeling. You feel stuck when you become suicidal because you feel like that's the only way to be free of the pain that you are constantly experiencing, and it's a miserable state of being. I don't want anybody to come to that, but it's completely understandable that people would come to that conclusion, and I'm speaking from experience because I've been there, and I can't say that I'm not anymore, but I'm definitely in a better place now that I've been trying to live for myself and be true to myself. Yeah. Meaning. Find personal meaning while doing your best to not exploit others. And in the Western world, it's really not that hard to be vegan. It's not really an excuse. Somebody came in on my "you don't have to be vegan" video saying that veganism is a moral obligation. Like, if it's not necessary to cause harm to animals, how is it not a moral obligation? But she was pretty damn pissed. But I think she eventually realized, maybe I haven't thought this out, and she deleted her comment. In an ideal world, she would say often, if we were just okay with how the world was set up from day one, we would still be in a pretty primitive world. We wouldn't have electricity, we would not have technology, we wouldn't have cars, we wouldn't have planes. Travel would still be so much harder, so much longer to get from one point to the other. We wouldn't have voting or democracies or people fighting for their rights or activists or whatever. We'd just be cavemen, I guess. Yeah, we would just be cavemen, and that would be the end of it, because in an ideal world but stop trying to create said ideal world, okay? You're wasting your time, you're not being realistic. Activists have to be delusional. I kind of have to be delusional as a vegan and as an antinatalist, that people will listen to me to a degree or want to do better, which deep down I don't truly believe. Like, of course, doesn't apply to every person. Every now and then you'll get somebody who's delightfully open-minded and will want to hear you out, or will take into account what you're actually saying instead of taking it as like a personal threat because they are indulging in said action that you are speaking out against. But a lot of people don't want to look at the why. They just hear, oh, you should stop doing that, and they get defensive. Just going back into coping. Coping is a very necessary part of life. We need coping to stay alive. I ran out of examples of coping. Maybe I will sit down and hopefully come up with a longer list of things that count as coping, but I'm stuck on 3 at the moment. Religion, drugs, meaning. I'm gonna say religion, addiction, meaning, because drugs are an addiction. A lot of animal products are also addicting, like casein and dairy. That's why people can't fathom giving up dairy. Big Dairy really got us all out here hooked on breast milk. But yeah, choose your category, I guess. Sure, we all fall into one of them, at least one of them. Otherwise, how are you here? And if you're not antinatalist or vegan, how are you justifying it? If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, as always. I am going to wiggle my way out of here. Out.